normal series to put I don't know what to call it, like a I don't know what to call it, but I'm putting this story inside there, and then I'm gonna finish the normal series, so it's like a remix. Uh, Thank y'all for tapping in with me, and let's get underway. So when I was 12 years old, we moved to New York. My family moved to New York because my stepfather got offered a better job or more money on the job that he was on. So we packed up and moved to New York. I don't know how or why, maybe even they had said it to me, but I always felt like it wasn't permanent. I always felt like we were going to come back to Georgia, which we did. Maybe they had probably said it was for a certain period of time or whatever, but I just always felt like it was never permanent. When I get up to New York, they have a totally separate culture. Some of the things that stood out at the age that I was at, up in New York at the age that I was at the time, were this is what I stood out when I got up to New York. So everybody had, when I say everybody, I mean everybody. We talking about school days. So everybody had Air Force Ones. It was they only wore Air Force Ones, Michael Jordans, and Timberlands. In New York, that's all anybody ever wore. All right, the Air Force Ones. Everybody had the New York Yankee hat, and there might have been different variations or whatever, but everybody had the normal blue New York Yankee hat with the white NY on it. Everybody had one. New York was filled with Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, and Jamaicans. And it don't matter if you were Dominican, Puerto Rican, or Jamaican. They all had the New York baseball cap. They all had the Air Force Ones. We're talking school days. Everybody, this again, this was the big thing about New York. It's like supposed to be like a fashion capital, but you know the fashion up there is different. Everybody got, if you ask me, everybody had the same thing. Everybody had JanSport book bags. Uh, I don't know what everyone who had a backpack had a JanSport. Didn't really matter the color. It was the JanSport book bag with the one opening at the top, and then you had the one pocket in the middle with one zipper. All them book bags with 10 zippers and see-through book bags and all. None of that. If you had it, everybody had a JanSport book bag. JanSport. If you had a little money, you would have a North Face book bag. You could have a North Face book bag or a North Face coat. That's how you stood out. People would know you were working with a little bit of money. You know, you were a little different. Um, like this just, it's just levels to it. Like if you were normal, you might have on Timberlands or um I had a pair of the boots, Mountain Gear or something like that. If you had a little money, you would have on Gore-Tex. You would have on Gore-Tex boots. People would identify you. You know, he got some money. He got on Gore-Tex. Um, you know, if you were normal, you would wear JanSport and this kind of stuff. And then if you had a little money, you would get Avarex. And so anyway, New York was different. New York was full of style, full of fashion. It was real. The thing was to be hip. The thing was to be in style. Now, one of the main sources of transportation for young people up there were bikes. Bikes were also big. And again, I'm 12 years old, so they probably weren't big, but I'm 12 years old. But everybody had a bike, not just a bike, a trick bike. A trick bike, you know, it could be tricky because of the categories of how it's labeled. So when I say a trick bike, um, you know, most people would have. It seemed like when I left Georgia, the mongoose was kind of popular in Georgia. But when I got to New York, they actually had like name brand bicycles that people were running around with. You had a bike called a Dino. You know, that was real popular. A lot of people had the Dino. They came in a lot of different colors. Most times when you buy a bike up north in New York, it comes with big pegs on it. Most of the times they would have pegs on the front and the back. So you had the dynos, then you had the bike called the GTs. I didn't really see any BMXs. You would see some mongooses. You had a bike called Royce Union. Um, these were the bikes that people were riding. They were actually they cost a few dollars, but again, for a young person could go city to city on a bike. Uh, Seen it done many times. We'll go in those stories later, but this was the main way of travel for young people, bicycles, and all the way up into the teenage years. It's nothing to be in New York and see a guy fly by you on a bike with somebody standing on the back of his pegs. When I was down south, I didn't even know what pegs were for. When I went up north, I saw like everybody, it'll be two people on the bike. I've seen people on one person driving the bike, one person standing on the back pegs, one person sitting on the front with their foot on the front pegs. So a bike could literally move 3 or 4 people comfortably. And I'm not talking about a mountain bike, a bike with gears on it. I'm talking about a little trick bike, a little bike that you pop wheelies on. So bikes were really, really popular. I don't want to say important. They were important for the road, but they were popular. So I get with this guy. I can't remember this guy's name, but uh if sometimes if you ever think about it, and there's a couple of times that I've thought about it that I find myself hanging with guys that when I think I was like, dang, I was 12 years old. That guy was probably about like 17. You know what I mean? We were cool, which is a little strange. Anyway, this tall guy always coming around with bikes, right? And every time I see him, he got a different bike. And it'd be a nice bike. It'd be a trick bike. Get to asking him about how he getting the bikes, and he tell me he just get them. He just take them. Whatever opportunity he see, he just take a bike, right? I'm like, cool. So I get into my head that I wanted a bike. From where I lived at on Fish Avenue in the Bronx, New York, you could leave my stoop, you could come out the stoop, you could leave the stoop, go left to the end of the block, 200 yards. You can cut down and go maybe a mile, 2 miles, half a mile, 2 miles down the road, and then as soon as you turn left, there was a bowling alley that also had a game room. I can't remember the name of it, but that was like the hangout spot on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You would go in there, it'd be jumping. You would have families in there bowling, but you would also have like people just came for the game room. They came strictly come in, go straight to the game room, eating pizza, having a good time. You could literally go down to the bowling alley on a Friday and spend 3 hours down there, like going to a party and then go back home. When you first walk in the bowling alley, there was a bike section. You know, it wasn't official, but that's where they let the young dudes park their bikes at. So soon as you walk in, if you look to the left, there would be 3 or 4 bikes just pushed to the side, just on top of each other. They leaning the first like first bike leaning against the wall, another bike leaning against it, another bike leaning against it. Every time you go in the bowling alley, you're gonna have 3 or 4 bikes right there. If it get really crowded on the other side right here, they might start stacking the bikes up, 4 or 5 bikes. So as soon as you go in, you might see 3 or 4, different color shiny bikes. One might be silver dyno with pegs on it. Also, the bikes had a gyro. I didn't realize what a gyro was until I went to New York. Like I said, New York is big on the trick bikes. So the gyro is the little function that you put on the front of the handlebars. Like when you got your bike and you got front brakes and back brakes, those brake lines go to the front brake, one go to the back brake. with those lines right there, you can't take that wheel and turn it in a complete 360 because your lines will get tangled up. A gyro is a device that allows you to turn the bike in a full circle with handbrakes. So you can have handbrakes on the bike and still like pop a wheel it and be turning the front wheel in a whole circle and won't get tangled up. They used to do stuff like this in New York. So the gyro was important. If a person had a bike didn't have a gyro in it, they wouldn't even buy it. So you would go in, and again, you might see a burgundy bike right here, a chrome bike, a blue bike, and me and my siblings, I don't know if we didn't have the money for the bikes. I can't say that because eventually they bought me a real nice bike, a trick bike. It was called a Rhino, but for some reason, it just wasn't the time. We weren't having bikes at the time, so I come up with the plan. I got my younger brother, and it's bad because when you got younger siblings, you know that they'll basically do whatever you say. They'll basically do whatever you say just on the strength of they your younger sibling. You see, you can convince them easily. So I got a younger brother about 2 years younger than me. This is even before my baby brother was born. I got a baby brother, and this is even before he was born. No, it's not. No, it's not. He was a baby. He was still a baby. He was still a baby. He was here. So um I come into my head, I'm like, dang, this is really rather easy. And at this time, I don't think I may be doing a little wrong or petty stealing, but nothing major to the point where I'm criminal minded. But I feel like it's the beginning of my criminal mind, and it wasn't brought on by anything. Like nobody showed me how to steal, and then I got into stealing, or nobody led me down the path. It just seems like it came natural for me. So I come up with a plan that we're gonna go down to the bowling. We're gonna go down to the bowling alley on one of the Fridays and get us a bike because I want a bike. So I tell my younger brother, I say, listen, man, this is what we're gonna do. It's real easy. We done did it before. They say they always doing it. I'm convincing my brother. He's just listening. I said we're gonna go in. The way the game room is set up, as soon as you go in, when you go into the first game room where the pool tables are, that game room is set off on the street. So like if you in that pool room, you can see there's a big old window to the side. You can see people coming and going, people getting ready to come in, people getting ready to go out, or whatever. If someone leaves, you can see them leave. So I'm telling him, I'm like, look, I'm gonna go in the first room where everybody at, and and I'm gonna make sure don't nobody come out. Now, this is just what I tell him because I have no way of making sure that no one come out the room. I'm really just I want to be in a better position. I'm really scared. I'm putting it together and I'm scared, but I want this to work. And it was probably evil. It was evil. It was evil. So I tell my brother, I'm like, listen, I'm gonna go in the room where everybody at. When I do that, just grab one of the bikes like it's yours, like we came with it, and just go home. I said, as soon as I see you going home, I'm gonna come behind you. He say, cool. We go down to the game room. Nervous walk the whole time. I'm nervous, but we do it, and he going with me. Maybe we were probably feeding off each other's energy. So we go down there, and the plan went out flawless. We go in. When I go in, I go straight into the room where everybody playing pool at, and I'm just looking around. People playing pool, they talking, they doing what they do. They were like older kids. They were older than us. They ain't really paying no attention. As I'm sitting there watching them playing pool, I'm thinking to my head, I'm looking to see my brother ride by on the bike. It's been a minute, 2 minutes, I don't see him. As soon as I started getting nervous, like maybe he wasn't gonna go through it, we hear a loud commotion outside the room that we in. We hear a real loud commotion, like do 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 do. A couple of the guys that were in the game room, they looked around like, what that was, but nobody really made a move to do anything. They kept playing. I kept looking, my heart about to jump out my chest. And as I'm just standing there watching everybody, I look out the window and I see my little brother riding by on a bicycle. He pedaling hard as he can. He flying. I stay there for a minute or two. Soon as I see him ride by on a bicycle, I know that no one in here can actually catch him. Maybe if they get on their bike, but nobody noticed them. But nobody in the room noticed them, but me. He gone. He gone. He gone up the block. He finna head towards the house. Soon as I see him and don't nobody move towards him, I'm getting excited because in my head it's just like I just got a brand new bike. I'm excited. I'm watching everybody. Ain't nobody really making no move. I leave. When I leave, by the time I come out the bowling alley, bruh turning the block. He turning the block on the bike. He gone. I look one more time, cut one more eyes in there through the window. Ain't nobody move. I'm out of there. Boom. Catch up with bruh. He hauling the whole time. He pedaling fast as he can. We get home. I got me a new bike. Now, I know that I gotta explain this to my parents, but that'll come later. So what I did is I took it down my homeboy Casa house. My oldest brother, best friend, stayed two houses down from ours. Um, but it's different in New York because it's a New York block. So their buildings with stoops, and then Casa stayed like two buildings down. So Casa and my brother hanging, my oldest brother hanging tight every day. They best friends. They around the same age, going to the same school. At one point they did anyway. Um, so that's his best friend. Now they already knew that we had did a little bike stealing before, but it was nothing major at all. I don't know where my oldest brother get the notion from, but I think he had done it before. Somewhere hey, quit. Somewhere he picked it up that you just supposed to catch somebody on a bike and push them off of it and take the bike because you hit them with the element of surprise and they might be hurt and they be like I said, you use that surprise in your favor. You take their bike and skeet on off, right? So I think my and I keep on saying I think, guys, remember this story is actually probably about like 27 years old. So this is a long time ago, right? 27, some 27, something like that. So so they decide one day that because I think my oldest brother had came home with a bike that he had then got from using this method, push somebody off of it and take it and come home. Uh, and we decide we want some bikes. We want like everybody want a bike. We want us a bike, and he telling us how easy it is because basically we supposed to go to a different neighborhood in New York. A lot of people ride the train and the subway with their bikes. So you're supposed to go to a different neighborhood. I don't mean like a couple of blocks up. I mean like we would go way across town. It was I can't remember what they used to refer to as the Dominican part of town, but and it was in the Bronx. So I can't remember. But it was an area we was um it'll come to me sooner or later. But so that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to go over there in their area and take their bikes from them and then bring it back here because then you won't have to worry about running into anybody that you done took a bike from. So we decided we're gonna do it. You know what I mean? We wanted to go in and get a couple of bikes at the same time, like three or four maybe. So my oldest brother was going. Casa decided he gonna go. I'm going, and that's all we had. So we go. Now the whole time I'm nervous, but I done stole bike before, but I'm still nervous because I ain't really, I ain't really been in no action. This time I'm supposed to be in some action, you know what I mean? And um I'm nervous, I'm scared, right? But the thing about it is I want to go, but I'm nervous. But once you get in like in the midst of actually doing whatever it is that you came to do, it's go time. It's too late to back out, right? So once we leave the house, I'm in it. I can't back out now. We actually get on one of the. It probably take us about 30 minutes, man. 30 minutes worth of traveling, and we get on a block and we see two or three kids riding up and down the block on their bike. Now we walk past they block, but we scoping, we see them riding up and down, and we make a plan. We decided this the block that we're gonna do it on. Again, it's hard to explain because you'd have to if you've been to New York before, then you know that, like I said, it's like city blocks, they real blocks. So um a person might let their kid go outside and ride their bike from one end of the block to the next block. You can't go on either of the main streets. You can't go on another block, but those are your points. Sometimes it'll be like from sewer to sewer, which will be maybe half the block. So at any time, a parent can come out and stand on their stoop or their stairs, or they can be watching from one of the windows, and maybe 50 yards, you can see the whole, you should be able to see your kid right there. So we walk back down. We done decided we're gonna take these kids' bike, right? Everybody know the move. You push the kid off the bike, take the bike, and roll. Now the thing is, we all know we got to wait for everybody, so we got to do it at the same time, and everything got to be in sync. Man, when we get down there, we go down to where the kids at, and they got some nice bikes, right? Look like they almost brand new, but just some little Dominican kids or something like that. But they got some real nice bikes. They little kids, they got the real, they got the trick bikes. That's our size, but they little kids. Man, I'm so nervous, but I know I can't back down. You know what I mean? We walking up to him. I see my brother asking one of the little kids with the bike something. He asking him something. I know what he finna do, so I'm nervous. I'm walking up to this other little kid, and I'm watching him to see, once he set it off, I gotta do it. I see my brother go in action. He pushed the kid off, so I'm nervous, but I gotta do it. I see the little kid. I push him off the bike. Boom! I push him off the bike. He screamed, "Hey!" and hit the ground. He's screaming the whole time. I grab the bike. I get behind my brother. Now, Casa is supposed to be doing the same thing that we just did. I think I may have looked back one time and then kept on going. And I looked back so fast, I didn't see him, but it was, that was it. Me and bro, we ride, we get on, we go. You know what I mean? We get all the way home. We looking, and we don't see Casa on the whole way home, because the whole time we riding, we expecting him to come riding behind us. Same time we trying to make an escape. You see what I'm saying? I'm brand new to the, not brand new, but I'm new still to the criminal life, to doing stuff. So I don't really know the rules, that you don't really supposed to leave a man behind, and these kind of things. So I'm I'm focused on my getaway. You see what I'm saying? Man, we end up making it the whole way back to the block, figuring Casa probably just took a different way, or we don't know, right? We make it all the way back to the block. We make it all the way back to the block. We go hide the bikes. We go hide the bikes at Casa's house. Man, we go sit on the stoop, and now we sitting here talking and wondering, like, we trying to figure out, should we go back and try to because at this time, like I said, it's 20 some years, wasn't no cell phone. One of those cell, like, if you had a cell phone, you were either like a drug dealer or a doctor or something like that. So it wasn't no. I don't even think Metro PCS was out yet. Okay, one of those cell phones. Matter of fact, I know they won. So we don't, so we can't just call him and see where he at. But we trying to figure out, we need to go back and find Casa. We trying to wait and hoping he'll just come on, pull up on his block, and just maybe it just took him longer than us, right? He never come. I guess we probably sit there for another 30, 40 minutes, and finally we decide, all right, we gotta go get him. As we get to walking back down the block, going back to the train station, we see Casa coming up the block. You know what I mean? And now we kind of relieved, like, oh, they here. All right, bet, cool. We go sit back on the steps and wait on him to come up the block. He walking normal. We could tell it's him, but something a little different. You know what I mean? Something a little different. So Casa get to walking up, and again, his house is like four houses, like it was like two houses down from ours. So he gonna reach his house before he get to us. So we thinking he gonna come right up to us, and we gonna tell him, you know what, we gonna see what we gonna talk to him. Casa don't come to us. He cut and go straight in his house. Casa goes straight in this house. We like, dang, you know what I mean? He ain't, I know he saw us, but he ain't even come to talk to us, right? Casa the only boy. Casa got five sisters. I can't remember all their names, but the oldest was Jerry. You had Jerry, Imani, Letitia, I can't even remember the two baby names. So so Casa goes straight in the house. You know what I mean? He ain't been in the house a whole 5 minutes. His oldest sister, who the oldest out of all of them, I have never seen her name Jerry. I've never seen her act like this. She's always been cool because we always at her house. We hang with her brother. We always in there. She ain't never been to our house, but every time we go to Casa house, you know, she cool. You know, she Casa cool older sister. Man, and Jerry came out the house blowing. We sitting on our stoop. She come out the house blowing. Look at his face. Look at his motherfucking face. Look what y'all did. Y'all left him down. I mean, she going off. We don't even know what she going off about because Casa's still in the house. She done came straight up to us just blowing. She crying. She screaming. She talking about how we ain't no good friends. We done left Casa to get beat up. He done got caught by the Dominicans. They Jamaican, you know, as she cussing us out, she going from like American to patois. She, you know what I mean, switching it up. The boy feels him, and the boy feels him. I'm feeling fucked up, you know. Oh, you know, I can't do it. But man, listen, we didn't see Casa till like later on that day when everything had calmed down. Casa had done told him the whole story about how we went out to steal bikes and we got our bikes and left him behind. And what ended up happening is, like Casa didn't do what we did. He didn't just go ahead and snap into action and push the kid off the bike and take it and come behind us. He kind of like, I want to say like froze up at the last minute and decided he wasn't with it and turned around and started walking back off the block. Now, what happens is, like I described to you guys, the little kids start screaming. So you got Dominicans coming all to the windows to see what's going on with their childrens. Once they see what's going on, they look out there and little kids on the ground. All they come out, they load up into like two cars. Casa walking up the block, and the way it's set up, that's why I said that we went to the Dominican part because the way it's set up, this whole block is Dominican. Like if you look and see a nigga on the block, it's like he out of place. I'm telling you, he out of place. It really don't go like that. You know what I mean? So you know who the suspect is. They point and say we done took their bites, and then this nigga walking up the block. So Casa walking, he trying to act normal, like we ain't there to do what we came to do. The little kids done already pointing them out. The people done, the Dominican boys done swerved up on Casa on both cars, blocked them off. They jumped out on him with bats and crowbars and everything and whooped his ass. I'm talking about raw ass whooping right there on the sidewalk, beat him down. Brrr, yeah, yeah, yeah. Brrr, yeah, yeah. So they beat Casa down, mess his face up. I'm talking about tore him up, Tommy Hearn. Now he got to get up and make his way all the way back home, all the way to the block, fucked up. You know what I mean? So he probably on the train Like he fucked up. When Casa got home, he was knotted up, swolled up. I think they even took him to the emergency room. Um, we were feeling bad. Don't get me wrong. We were feeling bad, but we didn't feel like it was our fault. You know what I mean? Like when you go and do crime, everybody responsible for themselves. Like we ain't in the military. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. Like we know that now. We know that now. But when you're young doing crime, he just trying to get away. You know what I mean? And Casa didn't get away. Um, Man, Casa went. We come to find out like the next day that Casa had tried to commit suicide. He went in and swallowed like a bunch of pills and tried to take himself up out of there because he was a ladies man. He was a pretty boy. You know what I mean? Casa, he could do his thing, and they messed his face up. They messed his face up. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, and I never thought about that. And it was funny because, like I said, I was riding home with my brother and riding home with my younger brother, the same one I was telling y'all about. And I was telling him about it. I was telling him that I was telling y'all the stories about never get caught. And he was like, and he reminded me of this story. He was like, y'all remember when y'all was stealing them bikes and Casa got his ass whooped? And I actually did remember, but I never remembered that Casa actually took some pills and tried to kill himself behind that. But my brother reminded me, like I said, a lot of times, man, some of this stuff I don't even be. It be so old, I don't even be remembered, y'all. We just be living and life be going on. But anyway, I appreciate y'all for tapping in with me, man. Casa is good now. Casa, he still Casa. He up in New York, and again, like I said, it's that none of these stories ain't to glorify none of the stupid stuff we did. You know what I mean? It's almost like uh, just me looking back on it, like, dang, you know what I'm saying? What if Dominicans would have caught me? You feel what I'm saying? Because I'm telling you, it's sectioned off like that up there. You look up, like they got a Jamaica Queens. You look up, you ain't supposed to be in, you know what I'm saying, in certain areas if you ain't that. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, man, we ain't know no better. We out there, and it is what it is. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. I know it's been a while, man. Y'all know I got stuff to do, life in life, and it is what it is. But I will be going live. Y'all like the video, help me get back in the algorithm, and I will see y'all later, man.